Bruce Gradkowski's been involved in quarterback competitions. He's also one of the most accomplished high school football coaches in Ohio. So he knows all about this stuff from both perspectives. He's on the fan hotline presented by Nemacolin. Bruce, what do you make of that? Tomlin pretty much saying it's hard to have a three-man race for a starting quarterback job.
Yeah, that's true. Because Tomlin was truthful. He's saying you're trying to divvy up the reps that guys can get enough reps to showcase what they can do. What's the sample size look like? If they go through OTAs and, Trubisky has the most reps and, Mason Rudolph has like 20% of those reps, he's probably not having an opportunity to showcase what he could do. So it is tough. It's tough to have a three-man battle, but at the end of the day, through OTAs, minicamp, training camp, preseason, it starts to separate itself. What kind of body of work are you putting together if you're one of the quarterbacks? And they have to understand it's going to be a process. It's going to be a long, grueling process trying to win this job, but you got to do it one day at a time. And when you do, you get your reps, you take advantage of it.
What kind of impact do you think Mason Rudolph's relative familiarity with the Steelers offense, his time with the organization, each of the other two guys is in their first year, what impact do you think that has on the number of reps he gets or doesn't get here, Bruce?
That's a good point, because I thought you were going to say, how does that give him an advantage? Because it gives him an advantage knowing the system and the rest. But on the other side, this is when, this time of year, Mason might not see a lot of reps, and it could be Trubisky and Kenny Pickett getting the majority of the reps during OTAs, during minicamp, starting into training camp to see where they're at. So they could get a real look at, okay, Trubisky got the offense down, Pickett's got it down, now training camp, let's see how these guys perform. But as you get closer to the season, man, you got to wind it down to who's going to be the guy. You want to get someone prepared to really take over. But I think that's a good point that
a good point from Mueller. How about that? A good point
First
from Chris.
First time for everything, Bruce.
I like that Bruce is showing you some love. Bruce, this might be a stupid question.
Probably.
But how do guys get graded in OTAs and mini camp? Like, hey, it's a competition. But how do you, if you're a coach, like how do you critique what guys do in OTAs and mini camp practice from the quarterback position?
Well, I remember back in the day, our quarterback coach would keep the stats on the day. Bruce was 7 of 10, 2 drops, an interception, blah, blah, blah. And he'd go through the list. But that's not all you got to look at, right, guys? We know completion percentage, all that stuff, throw it out the window. Is this guy making the right decisions? Is he being accurate with the football? Is he putting the ball where it's supposed to go? And is he doing it in a timing rhythm fashion? That's what I want to see. What's my quarterback's decision-making like? How fast is he processing this offense? And you could tell all that stuff through OTAs, through minicamp. And that's the beautiful thing about playing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, OTAs isn't live or anything like that. But for the quarterback, not much changes besides you could get smacked in the mouth once, the preseason starts.
So,
but
those practices are competitive enough and intense enough where you can really judge those
Draw
things?
conclusions?
Yeah, to me they were. Guys are flying around. When you put helmets on and you're competing, no one wants to lose. That DB doesn't want to get beat by the receiver. That defensive end doesn't want to get blocked by the right tackle. And so there's always times where Coach Tomlin and whoever the coaches would pull up film during the OTA and say, stay away from the quarterback, stay off the quarterback. Because guys, you're in shorts and a T-shirt and a helmet. Guys are reaching at the quarterback's arm. They want to show that they could have sacked the quarterback because it gets competitive. And, I know over the years the NFLPA's tried to, pull back on the intensity, but this is a live practice. I've always said it. When I got to the NFL, I realized helmets practice was like a live practice. You're going full speed. In college, a helmets practice is basically like a jog through. And the tempo in which you practice, it's right up there to get a really good look at what you're trying to do.
Bruce, when you have a breakdown where it's one guy's the veteran who's never really been a starter anywhere, another guy's an incoming veteran who does have starting pedigree, and another guy's the first-round draft pick, they can say it's a competition, but in your experience, how much gets weighted towards, hey, we want the first-round draft pick to win this job. We want to kind of pave the road for him a little bit. We're going to be a little bit maybe biased towards him because we just took him in the draft.
Yeah, no, I actually think it's the opposite. I think when you draft someone, and especially in this instance, I think you're going to make it harder for Kenny Pickett to win the job. And not necessarily harder, but he's got to do a lot more to win me over to say, I'm starting you over two veteran quarterbacks.
Okay.
So that's how I look at it is Kenny Pickett really has to blow them away by his knowledge, by his processing time, by his accuracy, by his command of the huddle, all these things during this time of year going into training camp. How fast can he win over the team? How fast can he be out there executing the whole playbook?
Yeah.
To where now the coaches are like, oh, shoot, this guy gives us just as good of an opportunity, if not better, than the rest of the dudes. And so, I think that's where they're at is Kenny Pickett's going to have to do more and prove it even more so to be the starter day one than the other two. Because, if you go into the season with Trubisky or Rudolph, you can always go to Kenny Pickett, because he's going to be learning and growing the whole season. So I look at it the other way like that.
Bruce Gradkowski, former Steelers quarterback's our guest. Bruce, if you were Mike Tomlin, what would be your goal this time of year and in training camp? Would it be to conduct the practices in order to find out who was most equipped, who was the best quarterback among the three? Or would it be, I need to set these up to develop Kenny Pickett? What's most important to us isn't necessarily finding a week one starter. It's giving Kenny Pickett in the long run the best chance at success.
Yeah, I think the number one goal is how do you develop your guys? How do you give them the information they need this time of year? How do they learn the playbook and then take the playbook and then they can execute on the field? So that's like the first order of business. Like, how do we get these guys up to speed to learn what we're trying to do? Because if you're going to play, you have to know what to do. You have to line up the right way. You have to catch the football. You have to run the right routes and so forth. So I think for Kenny Pickett, it is. It's a constant development. It's always going to be a process. So I think from day one, it's how do we develop these guys the right way? And then through that, how do we put them in uncomfortable situations and see how they respond? When Kenny Pickett understands the offense and what they're trying to do and you throw him in there on a 2-minute situation, how does he handle that? Can he get to the plays quick enough? Is he making fast decisions? Is he getting the tempo and the guys up to the line of scrimmage fast? So those are the situations during this time of year. You'll have plenty of them. Short yardage goal line, two-point type conversions on the two-yard line. And you'll put him in different situations, see how he responds, and see how he responds in uncomfortable situations. He just learned the plays 2 hours ago in the meeting room. Hey, let's throw him in with the ones. Let's see if he could call the play in the huddle, get the snap from center, and execute it.
Bruce, we know fans are excited here for Kenny Pickett, but how do the veterans feel on this roster about a quarterback competition that includes a first-round rookie?
I think they have to be excited. I mean, you look at like defensive guys and maybe that don't study the position all like that. When you pick a quarterback in the first round, I mean, there's excitement thinking this is our next franchise quarterback.
Oh, you're so full of it. When you were with the Raiders and they picked Jamarcus Russell, you're like, son of a gun, this guy's coming here to take my job. Right? Come on.
I got there 2 years after he was already drafted.
Oh, so you already
he was
already a slug.
He was watching blank DVDs and claiming there was stuff on them by then.
Don't you think Trubisky had to be sitting there last Thursday night? Like, come on, man. Crap.
Oh, no, absolutely. I'm talking about the guys on the team other than QBs.
Yeah, how about the QBs?
I was talking about the guys on the team because I just think of the infamous Faneca quote about Ben Roethlisberger getting into the lineup, and he goes, why would I be excited about that?
Yeah, no, I do think, guys, especially you've had a quarterback in Big Ben for so long, right? you want to see your franchises moving in the right direction, trying to set you guys up for success. They made moves in the offseason bringing Trubisky in. They made, move drafting Kenny Pickett. And with that, too, it kind of shows a lot about what Mason Rudolph has done, or maybe what the thoughts are of him in that locker room, So, and then on the other side, if I'm the quarterbacks, if I'm Trubisky and I'm, Mason Rudolph, yeah, I'm like, oh, man. But at the same time, too, I guarantee Colbert, Tom, and I'm sure they were straight up with those guys, like, hey, we could pursue a quarterback in this draft if they happen to fall to us, a guy we like. And you just got to deal with it. It comes back to focusing on what you could control. And I think Trubisky and Rudolph, hey, they just need to do their job. They're already getting a head start right now knowing this offense, and now they have to take advantage of those reps.
Well, where do you come down on the mentor thing? Like, is that part of the job description for Trubisky and Rudolph to help Kenny Pickett, or as long as there's no clear-cut starter, it's not in their best interest to tell him what to do?
No, I mean, I think, it's kind of just an unwritten rule. Like, every quarterback room I've been in was always good. Like, we all got along because you knew, look, it's hard enough to win in this league. It's hard enough to play well that you got to support one another. The thing I learned throughout my career was no matter what, you're going to get an opportunity. Opportunities are going to present themselves. So be a good teammate. And honestly, at the end of the day, you got to take care of your own business. Like, you got to execute when you get the reps and so forth. If Trubisky or if Kenny Pickett asks me a question, yeah, man, I'm helping him out. I want him to understand what we're trying to do, And I mean, it's not like, you see Ryan Tannehill came out and said, said that and whatnot. To me, when Tannehill says that, it's like, come on, man. I mean, I don't think Malik Willis is even in his area right now, and it doesn't have the same area code as far as competing with him. So to me, that showed a little like him being scared of the competition.
I think it showed insecurity, don't you?
Yeah.
And what do coaches think about that, Bruce? Like, when a coach sees you, maybe in your case, you'd say you'd take a guy under your wing and try to help him learn the ropes in the NFL, especially if it's a highly drafted player. How do coaches evaluate the way that a veteran might handle a situation like the one we're describing here?
Well, I think coaches want everyone to be a professional. They want to handle their business, everyone to handle their business the right way. You want guys to be competitive. You don't expect guys to be happy about, another quarterback coming in or more receivers or D linemen. It doesn't matter because everyone's competing. But all you want at the end of the day is an opportunity, and you compete to try to win that job. So, honestly, if you're playing at this level, you can't be scared of competition. And I think as a coach, you want to create competition. You want to create an atmosphere. Guys are, pulling in the same direction and supporting one another, but at the same time, competing hard because things work itself out. And I just know, through the course of the OTAs, man, there's so much time. OTAs, minicamp, training camp. So through that time, you're just diving into these reps and meetings, and you do naturally just tend to help each other out because you're with each other so much.
Hey, Bruce, there was another Steelers quarterback, I'm not going to say who said, yeah, if I'm Mason Rudolph, I'm ticked that they told me I could compete and now they draft Pickett. But honestly, this is what he said, I'm more upset that they drafted another quarterback in the 7th round. He's like now they really don't want me on the roster. They're really trying to push me out. Do you agree with that? That would even bug you more? They're taking two quarterbacks?
I don't think so because I think, when you take a quarterback later in the draft like that, I mean, this is a practice squad guy. This is also a guy, though, that you're thinking, oh, shoot, we didn't think he'd still be around. Let's go ahead and take a shot because what are you going to do? Take him? You might take another receiver, DB. I mean, at that point in the draft, the 7th round towards the end, now you're kind of taking maybe what's available that your scouts have done the research. And if they feel like, hey, this QB from South Dakota State, he's not bad, man. Let's give him a shot. And I agree with that because, look, the Steelers are trying to find out who their next guy is. They don't care where he comes from, how he was drafted, or if he was. they got to find the franchise and let these guys compete it out. And, but it's kind of crazy. They took 2 QBs in the draft.
Bruce, on May 6th, who do you predict, and we can obviously change this answer. It's not in pen, it's in pencil. On May 6th, who do you think will be the Steelers starting quarterback week 1?
I think it'll be Trubisky.
Mm.
I think it'll be Trubisky to start, and then and then it's going to be his job to see what he could do with it the first year, I say. But if he's playing well and doing a good job and they're competing, it's going to be his job. Now, if he goes in there and the Steelers aren't doing much, and he's not being accurate with the football or making plays or getting through his reads, then you could see the young gun Pickett come in. But I do think Rudolph holds the upper hand because of his knowledge of what they're trying to do in the offense. But you look at Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, both guys can move, extend plays. They're just different type of quarterbacks, and I think that's what the Steelers ultimately want to be.
Malsey, did you anticipate he'd go with Trubisky there?
I thought he was going to say Mason Rudolph. No.
No, you did
Bruce,
not.
No, I honestly, the way you talked about it, Bruce, the way you said that Pickett would have to do more to show them, I kind of thought you might go Trubisky. Really quick here, I don't want to belabor this point. If you're Rudolph, though, put yourself in his shoes, Bruce. You've been in this organization for this many years. You've started some games, but you've lost your job before. You've had a real up-and-down career. They bring in a veteran quarterback and draft one. I'm just being honest, if I could put myself in his headspace, no way would I think I have a realistic shot at this job, even if the coaching staff and everybody tells me that I do.
So what are you saying? You'd want to get traded, Malsey?
Yeah, because I would feel like I've already had my shot here. They've made it very clear with their actions, Bruce, drafting and signing a quarterback in each case, 2 quarterbacks they drafted, that I'm not the man.
Well, I'll tell you exactly how he feels because I was in this situation. I was in Tampa Bay going into my 3rd season. Remember, I started 11 games as a rookie. I played a few games backing up Jeff Garcia my 2nd year. And then going into my 3rd year, it's this time of year, guys. We have Jeff Garcia that was just starting. We signed Brian Greasy. We have Chris Sims, Luke McCown, myself, and we draft Josh Johnson in the 5th round. So I'm sitting there not getting many reps during OTAs, and I'm thinking to myself, man, Gruden's over me. There's no way I have a chance to make this team. And I did. I told my agent, I said, just tell them to release me. And he's like, you sure you want that? Because you're taking a chance of not going, getting signed by someone else. I said, yeah, because I'm not getting any reps here. I just at least want to be somewhere that I can legit compete.
Yeah.
So there were 6 of us, though. You're talking about 3 of them in Pittsburgh.
4, technically.
Yeah, 4 now. But so Mason Rudolph's going to get some semblance of reps, and he could still have value, when he goes through OTAs and training camp. At the end of training camp, injuries happen. So for the Steelers, I don't see a need to trade him away right now because the Steelers have been through it before. How many times did they have Byron Leftwich, Charlie Batch,
yep,
Big Ben, and
Dennis Dixon?
I was going to throw Dennis Dixon in there.
Yeah, Dennis Dixon. It was the 4 of them for a few training camps, and Leftwich got hurt during one of the preseason games, and so I think you need valuable guys, and I think none of them are going anywhere. And Mason Rudolph's just got to look. He's got to focus in on what he can control. And right now, it's just taking advantage of the reps you get, putting some good film out there during the preseason, and then you can have opportunities elsewhere if it doesn't work in Pittsburgh.